When was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap. I am your host, Colleen Biggs, and we are on episode 204. Weather's cooling off. It's fall. Finally, I live in Arizona. So, when it started peaking out at 111 again in October, I was like, are you kidding me? This is crazy. So I will tell you that I am excited that we are finally hitting the fall weather. And this is a time when we can really start enjoying family. But I think there may be some of you that get a little anxiety around seeing family, a little anxiety around the end of the year to start thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, this was quite a year. How could I ever top it? How could I ever create another big year like I had this year? And I'm excited to have Sam Kabert here today because he is a high performance business owner and he now prioritizes mental health. So we're going to get into why prioritizing mental health is so crucial as a business owner, really as anyone who is a high performer, even in a career or as an athlete. We're going to be talking about prioritizing mental health. But before we get to Sam, I want to thank our sponsor of today's show, Live and Learn. And Live and Learn's mission is to empower women to break the cycle of generational poverty. We envisioned a world where women thrive, strengthening their families and their communities. Live and Learn is a nonprofit organization for women that was founded in 2012 to empower women in the Phoenix metro area. It began as an initiative of the Arizona Foundation for Women and became an independent organization in 2014. Live and Learn continues to grow every year to meet the financial education needs and career training for women in our community. To find out more, if you wish to donate, visit liveandlearn.org. Thank you, Live and Learn, for being the sponsor of today's show. All right, let's get to Sam. I'm putting on my glasses for this one because the last podcast, I couldn't read anything, and that's just what's happening these days. All right, Sam. Sam Kabert is a serial entrepreneur turned certified breathwork practitioner and keynote speaker. He's the author of the #1 best-selling book, Soul, Life Balance, and host of the Soul Seeker podcast. Sam spent the early part of his career chasing success and was named to Silicon Valley's 40 under 40 list of just 31 years old. In the past 5 years, he's courageously embraced a transformative path of self-discovery, centering his focus on prioritizing mental health. Sam is on a mission to offer tools to overcome overwhelm and encourage the rise of compassionate leadership to eradicate the glorification of the hustle culture. I love that, Sam, and welcome to today's show.
Thanks, Colleen. Stoked to be here and excited to see where this takes us.
I mean, come on. We all know that everyone loves to be in that hustle culture, right? All these little quotes, the early bird gets the worm, and, you've got to be up selling by, 5 a.m. And it's crazy what is out there. What did you learn being in really going back to Silicon Valley and being in this 7-figure business that you were like, I'm burnt out. I'm 40 under 40 and this is great at 31, but no one should feel this way at 31.
Yeah, I mean, it was a series of events that kind of led up to that where I kind of knew something was off, but I would just set new goals and go bigger and bigger. And then I think my really big goal was like being named to Silicon Valley's 40 under 40 list, and for a variety of reasons. And when I achieved that one, that was really like, wow, I still feel empty inside. Like, what the heck is going on here? Like there's something off. And then it was an on and off again relationship as well, with this woman that I was seeing for about 4 years. And that combined with everything else where it was just like, oh, now we're off for good. Like, cause we kind got in this cat mouse game. So just it was kind of like the perfect storm back then in 2019. And then a breathwork journey found me. Subsequently, ayahuasca after that. And then I literally felt reborn and was like, all right, let's go deeper and deeper on the spiritual path. And that's how I ended up here today, almost 6 years later at this point.
Yeah. So when you talk about breath work, how were you introduced to that? Because this is where I feel there's sometimes a disconnect because someone who is in that culture, in that world socially with setting goals and achieving and high performance and making a lot of money, and that's their focus. And they keep thinking, if I can get to this next, like you said, if I can get this title, that's really my goal that I was going for. I would feel a certain way. And I've heard people say money, you know, makes me happy. And it's like money, there, you know, how many people I know that are billionaires that are so unhappy. Like it doesn't make you happy. How did breath work find you? Because some people, they, they think that, oh, that's great that you might do this little thing over here, but I don't have time for that. I have to produce, 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 produce. And that's what causes this mental health burnout where they're not happy. They're not happy. They keep chasing. What are you, I mean, how did you make that connection when you were introduced to breath work? When did that start?
Yeah, for sure. Well, that was back in 2019. And now at this point in time, now I'm a breathwork practitioner, educator. I even have an online community called the Breath Club. And I believe that there's a big challenge within the mental health, mindfulness, spiritual community, or even biohacking and high performers, anyone that's getting interested in the term breathwork, because breathwork means so many different things to different people. And I even know of breathwork practitioners that will be like, we're always doing breath work because we're always breathing. And when I hear that, it makes me cringe because I think that's like the worst thing that someone can say that's an educator of the space. And how I break down breath work is in two categories. One, there's breath work exercises, which can help to shift into the parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest. And that is good for everyday kind of routine maintenance. Whereas there's breathwork journeys that will get you into a fight or flight response. So the sympathetic nervous system, and a breathwork journey is a deep cathartic release. And that was what I started with, a breathwork journey. And that's when I literally felt reborn just from my breath. So I think it's important when we're talking about breathwork to understand like it can mean so many different things to different people, because someone can hear breathwork and be like, oh yeah, I've done breathwork before, but I don't really get it. Like, what's the point? It doesn't really do anything for me. And at that point, it's like, well, what did you actually do? Right.
Right.
And in terms of the time commitment, you nailed it. You're so right. We think that we don't have time for whatever it is. But most people these days that are into like high performance personal development, there's this like gray line between personal development and spiritual or soul development. And that's kind of like where the biohacking comes in with breath work, meditation, journaling, ice baths, hot cold therapy, all the things. And what I tell people a lot that have that kind of like, oh, I don't have the time, is I share with them this exercise that I call a microdosed version of a breathwork journey. And it's something that can take like 2 or 3 minutes. And then from there, you can meditate for 2 or 3 minutes, a total of like 5 minutes. And all of a sudden, you're going to be like, whoa, did I just take a shot of espresso? You're going to feel so clear, have so much more energy. And really, that's all you need on a as for daily maintenance.
What is that 2 to 3 minutes? Do you want to share with us what that is today?
Yeah, I'll share it right now, and then maybe you and I can do it together and listeners can join in. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love that. Let's do it.
Sweet. Sounds good. So this is circular connected breathing. A lot of people will be familiar with this if they've heard of holotropic breathing or say Wim Hof breathing. It's my style that I do is called somatic breathing. And again, there's so many different styles and whatever else. But basically what we're doing is just inhaling and exhaling through the mouth. So go ahead real quick and just inhale up through the mouth. And did you notice if your belly came in or your belly expand outward?
It went outward.
Nice. Well done. Listeners, I encourage you guys to try it as well. Because for a lot of us, the belly comes in. And if the belly comes in, there's no judgment there because it makes sense. As a society, we're kind of conditioned to tuck it in. And then also, if we're sucking air in, it makes sense to bring the belly inwards. But what we want to do here is something called a diaphragmatic breath or belly breath.
Mm.
So allow the belly to expand like you're blowing up a balloon. So the circular part is the belly expands and the belly comes back to the spine on the exhale. And over time, you'll start to find this rhythm that feels like it's circular and kind of like a wave. The connected part of this is that there's no pause between the inhale and the exhale. So my mic unfortunately doesn't pick up the breath sounds sometimes. So you guys probably won't be able to hear me breathing, but it would essentially look like this. If you're watching and if you're just listening, hopefully you can kind of hear it, but if not, we'll just roll with it. So it'd look like this. And basically what we're doing here is on the inhale, we're doing a big inhale, really let the back body come into it as well. And then on the exhale, purse your lips kind of like you're sucking through a straw, right? And on the exhale, you're blowing candles out on a birthday cake that are a few feet in front of you. Sometimes people teach a passive exhale. I teach
Mm.
an active one. So
So
that's
you're
why I'm leading
pushing.
that. Yeah, you're pushing the air out. So what we'll do here just in a moment is we'll do a 10 count followed by a 10-second hold. Then we'll recap and then we'll do a couple more rounds. Sound
So we're gonna
good?
do 10 seconds in and out, and then we hold on the in.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, for 10 seconds. They'll be able
Yeah.
to hear my mic, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, cool. So that sounds great. And I'll walk you guys through it too. So, there's no need to count. You can just breathe. And
Okay.
if you're driving, this isn't the type of breath work where I would encourage you to do it with, because sometimes there's are breath work exercises where like, oh yeah, you can keep your eyes open and do it with us. But since this is activating the sympathetic nervous system, you may get a little dizzy. So it's important that you're actually seated and you can do this with us. So go ahead and listen in or pause this and come back. So we'll just close our eyes. It's kind of nice to close the eyes and just
Okay.
feeling your feet on the floor, your palms on your lap, and then through the mouth, a big inhale up, exhale, let go, and continue just like that. No pauses between the inhales and the exhales, just allowing yourself to breathe and to feel the different energies that are moving through your body. About halfway there, we'll just keep going. And then on your next inhale, inhaling all the way up, sipping a bit more at the top. Hold the breath here. Just hold the breath and allow yourself to feel. And slowly exhaling.
I cheated and I haven't told anyone I've done breath work in the past, but
Yeah.
I love it. That's why I wanted everyone to experience it today.
For sure. Yeah. So what I typically do for the microdose one is that was a 10 count with a 10-second
Yeah.
hold. Then we do a 20 count, a 20-second hold, and then a 30 count, a 30-second hold. And I like to hold on the inhale because the inhale helps to activate that more fight or flight. So if you're doing this
Sure.
in the morning, it's going to help to give you more energy. If you're feeling like it's too much and you want to settle in a little bit more, then all you do is you hold on the exhale because that's going to help to shift into rest and digest.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah.
So in breath work, the last session I did, they had instructed us in a studio. It was, I believe it was 25 to 30 minutes of that rapid breath.
Mhm.
And then you fall into a state for about 40 minutes, was about how long, where you're on a journey. Now, for anyone who's done ayahuasca or psilocybin, you would understand what a journey was. And where what would you say happens to our body after that breathing time of a elongated breathing time that we do, and then you kind of slip under? What happens in our
Yeah.
bodies in that state?
Absolutely. Thanks for asking. And yeah, that's what I'm calling a breathwork journey and saying this is like the microdose version for sure. So we could think of it as like the default mode network in the brain, which is kind of like our identity or personification of self, kind of like our ego personality
Hmm.
that may and should go offline. And by doing so, it allows the body to alleviate and relieve any stored energies in the body that aren't serving us. Because what happens is from a young age, many of us were told to shut down indirectly when we were expressing ourselves, be it a temper tantrum or anything else. It's like, hey, be quiet, you're making a scene, whatever it is. Or for men, maybe, or even women, don't cry. Big girls don't cry. Big boys don't
Hmm.
cry. Whatever the thing might be. So from our formidable years, which is from birth till about 7 years old, we start to disconnect from not only our emotional state, but like our thoughts and our feelings, everything mentally, emotionally, physically, leaving the body. So when
Hmm.
we have this breath work journey, it could be anything from like a day before that was just a little bit of stress and anxiety, or a fight from a few weeks ago with a loved one, or something from your early years, or even this is where it may get woo for some people, but past lives, which I believe are really parallel or concurrent lives. But there's all kinds of different things that may come up. Some people have visitations from loved ones that have passed, or
Hmm.
get other visuals, and most of the time just clarity comes through and messages, and it's a feeling of reconnecting with yourself and what the yogis would call samadhi, which means bliss, essentially.
Yeah, I love that because it does feel that way when you're in it. And it feels like the conscious mind shuts down, like you talked about, the ego, the subconscious mind opens up, and then we're able to explore what we need to remove or move through. Or I love when you talked about insight and clarity.
Mhm.
Those are the things that I've definitely experienced. Now, are you doing these types of breathing exercises online, or do you do them mainly in groups in person? How are you doing those breath
Yeah,
work?
all of the above. At conferences, when I lead keynote presentations, sometimes I'll lead a morning session of breath work, or maybe even a breath work journey. I live in Santa Cruz, California, beach town. So I live about 10 minutes away from the beach, short walk away. And most weekends when I'm here, I'll lead folks on the beach through some breath work of like not a full journey, but just kind of like a 20-minute check-in. Yoga studios here in town, I'll lead breathwork journeys. And then for my breath club, that's online. And for the online community, I'm teaching them every week. We have a new lesson and theme, and then we gather on Zoom and do some breath work and daily accountability and things like that. So it's really just all of the above, um, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, and you can find out all this information at samkabert.com. I wanted to let everyone know that, as well as follow him on Instagram at Sam Kabert. Um, okay, so what is the benefit? That's what I'm sure many people are asking themselves, because we've talked about what happens during. How now tie the line back to how that prioritizes your mental health. What happens physically in the body when, because I already felt my body relax, like my
Mm.
muscles relax. And I know if I'm driving and I feel like, okay, I've got a lot going on, I've got a full day. If I just take some deep breaths, and blow it out, and just a few big deep breaths, I know that helps calm me, and center
Mhm.
me, and then I feel a lot better. But have tie back to us how that really can prioritize mental health for us because of what it's doing for us that we might not realize.
100. So the meaning of the word emotion is energies in motion, and science proves that our body has a 90-second physiological response when we experience these emotions or these energies. And when we learn to reconnect with our physical, mental, and emotional self, then we start to be okay with feeling these different thoughts and feelings that normally we wouldn't want to feel. So what happens, and this is a great case study right here. I was working with a client earlier this year, that was putting on a 10,000 person music festival. Like, she was the director, and she was having some challenges. It was a couple of weeks before the festival, and we went through her morning routine and her evening routine, rock solid, as good as any like biohacker or high performer would have as a routine. So then we went through the day, and there's fire after fire, this happening, that happening, not actual fires, as we know, right? And my question is, okay, so how are you responding to those? And what happens, to your point, with most of us is, I don't have time for this. So I compartmentalize, meaning I put it in a box on a shelf, and then I do the best I can that moment, but I never go back to that shelf and open up that box. So I have a process in my new book, Overcome the Overwhelm, that's called the 6-step breath process. And these are 6 steps that you can do in real time at any point in your day to help guide you through those 90 seconds of the body having a 90-second physiological response, so that you can process those emotions in real time. And furthermore, if there's something that's going on in your day where you don't even have 2 minutes to process that, I understand that. That's where the compartmentalization comes in. You put it on a box, you put it on the shelf. But that evening, as you drift off to sleep, you go through your day and you see, hey, where do I have open loops? And then you can use the 6-step breath process. And a very high level, just high level, there's 3 themes to the breath process. The first is breathe. This is all, hey, I notice something is coming up. Let me breathe into it. Let me slow down. The second theme is feel. Let me feel these emotions, because if I do feel these emotions, which are energy in motion, by feeling, I allow them to move through me so they don't get stuck and stored into the body.
Mhm.
And finally, it's thinking intentionally. And this is all about positive affirmations. This is all about being intentional with what you're thinking and how you're being, and what new actions, habits, and behaviors may come up as a result of what you just went through.
That's perfect. And that's really what we're talking about, because that's what's causing so many individuals to feel like they're so overwhelmed that they just can't go another day in the world that they're in today. And that's because I'm assuming their shelf is so full that it's breaking, and they feel like they're mentally breaking. And I'm so thankful, Sam, that you made this switch and that you decided that this was going to be the journey, not only for you, but then you decided, I'm going to teach other people this, because if it can change my life, I can change so many other people's lives throughout this. And so this isn't just for someone who you would think, I think sometimes people tend to think, oh, I don't have time for that. This is for someone who spends their day maybe being a yoga teacher or doing this or doing that. No, this is for sure for the highest of performers, because you're feeling the most pressure, and you're the one that needs to have these tools to be able to know how to work through and unpack, like we talked about in the moment, the things that we're putting on the shelf. And what one last thing that you'd like to share with our listeners? I heard you mention a book. Did you want to say that again? Is your book available on samkabert.com?
Yeah. I've
Okay.
written 6 now, which is wild. Just this year, in writing my 6th book, I was like, oh, I guess I'm an author, kind of funny. But the new one's called Overcome the Overwhelm. That's where I go deep on the breath process, what we just alluded to earlier. And the secret to overcoming overwhelm truly is that there's nothing to overcome at all. It's that resistance of feeling like, oh, I have something to overcome, that keeps us stuck. When we surrender to those feelings, we allow ourselves to feel them. That's how we actually overcome the overwhelm, by
Hmm.
feeling them, accepting them, surrendering to them, then being honest with ourselves, looking at what new habits, actions, or behaviors do I need to take as a result of doing this shadow work of actually accepting and surrendering to these heavier and denser feelings.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much, Sam. I really enjoyed the session today. And because I've done breath work, because I've had journeys myself, through psilocybin, I would highly recommend that you reach out to Sam, that you connect with him. If you're feeling, if any of those, anything we talked about today, you feel like, yeah, I'm that person, I need this in my life, connect with Sam because he has an online community. So you do not have to be local in Santa Cruz, California. You can reach him online. You can read his book. You can take his principles in his book and apply them into your life. There's so many ways that you can do that. You also have spirituallysimplified.me/challenge. Is that a challenge that you're offering out there?
Yeah, that's a 5-day free challenge. It's called the Shattered
Awesome.
Limiting Beliefs Challenge. Yeah.
Okay, great. So we have that as well. And like I said, please be sure to follow Sam on Instagram at Sam Kabert. And then if you are on LinkedIn, you can DM him on LinkedIn as well. So we have all of those links available for you. And Sam, thank you so much for being here today and educating our listeners on how they can prioritize their mental health, just as you have done. I know I have done this and it has really helped me. In fact, we've exploded with 2 new businesses and another one that we purchased after really me prioritizing my mental health through breathwork and journeys. So I just want to thank you so much for being here. I know how useful it is in our lives. I shout it from the mountaintops, and I'm going to continue promoting and shouting you from the mountaintops to everyone. So please go to samkabert.com. And I just want to remind you again, you're the only you that's ever been, and you're the only you that's ever going to be. So you are the one that has to take the initiative to do this. No one else can do it for you. You can't just wait around for some magic pill to come out that's going to make you feel better. You need to prioritize your mental health now, because it could be so challenging for you in later years to be able to do that. And there are so many tools, like Sam talked about today, that are available to you. And breath work is free. You can breathe for free. And I agree with you, breathing all day long, that's just what our body does. That doesn't help you. You need to learn how to use breath work to help calm you down, to help you get clarity and direction. And there's so much more to it. So Sam, thank you again for being a guest on today's show. And to everyone, thank you so much for being loyal listeners. And until next time, don't forget, be you and be strong. Bye-bye for now.
We hope you enjoyed our show today, as our guests shared their secrets on designing their life by taking the necessary leaps to expand their influence and attract the right people and clients into their lives. To start these easy steps for yourself, be sure to visit www.colleenbiggs.net/freebies to download the 7 ways to increase your exposure today.